Hello everyone, Joe Session here. If you're a fan of jazz, you know that the 1980s sometimes gets a bit of a bad rap. People often say the decade was too glossy, too digital, or maybe even a little cold compared to the warm analog richness of the 1970s. But I wanted to take a closer look at that era, because there were some absolutely brilliant jazz albums made during that time. Today, we're diving into 10 excellent jazz albums from the 1980s. And just to be clear, these aren't ranked in any particular order. I'm just sharing some of my favorites, albums that I really think stand out. And trust me, there are loads more amazing jazz records from that decade, but these are the ones I wanted to highlight in this video, so let's jump in. First up, Herbie Hancock's Mr. Hands from 1980. By this time, Herbie had already made a huge impact with albums like Headhunters and Thrust during the 70s. Mr. Hands is fascinating because it captures a transitional period for him. He's exploring electronic instruments and synthesizers, but there's also a strong acoustic presence. It's like he's bridging the experimental energy of fusion with the sophistication of straight ahead jazz. My favorite track, Shiftless Shuffle, really demonstrates this. The groove is playful yet complex, and you can hear Herbie balancing improvisational freedom with tight composition. On this album, Herbie worked with an array of talented musicians, including Benny Maupin on reeds and Paul Jackson on bass. The end result is an album that feels adventurous yet still surprisingly accessible. Next is Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers with Keystone 3. Art Blakey was famous for discovering and mentoring young jazz talent, and this 1982 live album perfectly captures that energy. Recorded at the Keystone Corner in San Francisco, the album has a raw, in-the-moment feeling that sometimes studio recordings lack. Fuller Love is my favorite track. It's a hard bop classic, driven by Blakey's powerful, swinging drumming and punctuated by fantastic solos from the band's talented horn players, including a young Wynton Marsalis on trumpet. The album's live energy really shows that even in the 1980s, when some jazz was veering towards smooth or fusion styles, the Messengers kept the fire of hard bop alive. Kenny Wheeler's Double W is a masterclass in subtlety and harmonic sophistication. By 1984, Wheeler had already been a major force on the European jazz scene for decades, collaborating with artists like John Taylor and Evan Parker. His compositions often mix lyrical beauty with modernist touches, and this album is no exception. The track Double W stands out because of its haunting, spacious melody and rich layered harmonies. Wheeler's flugelhorn tone is warm yet mysterious, and the ensemble work is intricate without ever feeling cluttered. This album blends post-bop and contemporary jazz influences and has a contemplative, almost cinematic quality that rewards repeated listening. Moving on, Freddie Hubbard's Rollin from 1982 is an album that doesn't get as much attention as his 60s classics, but is a real gem. Hubbard was known for his dazzling technical skill and fiery improvisation, and Rollin gives him space to show both sides of his musical personality. The track One of Another Kind highlights Hubbard's incredible phrasing and tone. The ensemble includes some stellar players of the time, and the production, while clearly 80s in polish, preserves that hard bop energy Hubbard was famous for. It's an album that proves you can have modern production values without sacrificing the intensity and soul of jazz. Steps Ahead's self-titled 1983 album is a fusion powerhouse. This band was made up of some of the finest contemporary jazz musicians, including Michael Brecker and Mike Mainieri. and they were pushing boundaries in the early 80s. The album blends electric instruments, synthesizers, and acoustic jazz in a way that's complex but melodically engaging. Pools is my standout track because of its intricate interplay and melodic sophistication. You can hear the band's musical conversation happening in real time, the kind of interaction that makes fusion exciting. This album shows that jazz fusion in the 80s could be forward-thinking, without becoming cold or overly mechanical. McCoy Tyner's Dimensions from 1984 demonstrates why he's considered one of the great pianists in jazz history. Tyner's post-Coltrane work consistently explored modal harmonies and powerful percussive piano lines, and this album continues that trend. Just in Time, my favourite track, is meditative yet intense, showing Tyner's ability to create space and tension simultaneously. The ensemble work, featuring John Lee on bass and Wilby Fletcher on drums, gives the album depth and a sense of conversation between the instruments. It's a perfect example of Tyner staying innovative in the 80s while staying true to his signature style. Next is Emily Remler's Firefly. Emily was a guitarist whose career, though tragically short, left a lasting mark on jazz. On Firefly, she blends hard bop, blues, and swing with incredible technical fluency. Perks Blues is the track that always draws me in. It's upbeat, swinging, and full of joy. But you can also hear the subtle sophistication in her chord voicings and improvisations. Remler was a rare voice in a male-dominated jazz scene, and this album shows why she's still celebrated today. Kenny Garrett's debut album, Introducing Kenny Garrett, is from 1985 and captures a young alto saxophonist full of ambition and energy. Garrett was only in his early 20s at the time, but the album shows remarkable maturity in his improvisation and melodic sense. For Openers is my favourite track. It has a fiery energy and showcases Garrett's strong lyrical phrasing. This album also features stellar support from musicians such as Mulgrew Miller on piano, giving it both youthful exuberance and polished musicianship. The Pat Metheny group's Still Life Talking is a highlight of late 80s jazz. On this album, Metheny continues his exploration of blending jazz with Brazilian music and synthesized textures, creating a sound that's both sophisticated and deeply atmospheric. Third Wind, my favourite track, is a perfect example of this approach. The piece flows with intricate rhythms and harmonies, combining lyrical guitar lines with lush, layered keyboard textures from Lyle Mays. His keyboards add a shimmering, cinematic quality that complements Metheny's melodic phrasing, making the track feel expansive and immersive. The album as a whole manages to balance technical virtuosity with emotional warmth, showing how the group could innovate without losing a sense of accessibility. Finally, John Scofield's Blue Matter from 1987. Scofield's guitar style is a fusion of jazz, funk, and rock, and this album captures him at a creative peak. The tracks are groovy, complex, and full of personality. The Nag is my favourite. It's funky, rhythmically intricate, and has that signature Scofield bite. The ensemble includes a tight rhythm section, with Gary Granger on bass and Dennis Chambers on drums, making it a perfect blend of groove and improvisation. This album proves that even the late 80s, sometimes considered a cold period in jazz, produced some fiery, inventive music. So there you have it, 10 excellent jazz albums from the 1980s that I think are really worth exploring. Each of these albums captures a different facet of the decade, showing that even in an era sometimes criticised for being too glossy, jazz was still full of life, energy, and innovation. I'd love to hear from you. What are some of your favourite jazz albums from the 1980s? Make sure you leave a comment below and we can discover some new music together. If you enjoyed the video, remember to give it a like. It really does help the channel. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button. And if you want to continue hanging out with me here on the channel, I'll leave a link to a video in the corner for you now to click on. Other than that, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.